Hey guys, it's Timmy, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as we are here on Friday, April 22nd, 2022, to talk about everything, well, in the world of professional wrestling. As far as today's stories do go, because this is the Wrestling Wrap-Up, a handful of news brought to you in one easy-to-watch video. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 stories, 6.5, because I always count the SmackDown preview or the Raw preview as a half story. So 6.5 stories to talk about here today. Again, we are here on Friday the 22nd. Do want to let you guys know there will not be a SmackDown review tonight. If you are watching here on Friday, there will not be a SmackDown review tonight. I will not be home. I will actually be at the rodeo tonight. And so because of that, no SmackDown review, because I will not be home. It's rodeo week here. I always go to a bunch of the rodeo week festivities. It's been a thing I've done for like forever. Basically for the last decade, except for the 3 years I was in the military, not living in California. So, yeah. Ricky Dona, we don't talk about Bruno, no. We don't talk about Bruno. I don't know if that's the joke you're trying to make or anything, because I don't know what your comment means, but there we go. Anyways, I won't be doing a SmackDown review tonight, but if there is any news coming out of SmackDown, we will be reporting that. So we'll still bring you some news if there is any coming out of SmackDown. But with that, again, like I said, we have 6.5 stories here today. We've got stuff about Bret Hart possibly signing a big deal with WWE, an AEW wrestler who just came back this year from an injury, injured again, Kushida, and what's the latest on him, and so much more. But with that, I want to say thank you for joining me here, twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and twitter.com/PWU Unlimited. Remember, if you are watching on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below, or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of 2 different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you take that Amazon account, you take that Twitch account, you link them together, bada bing, bada boom, you're Prime Gaming. With Prime Gaming, you get a bunch of cool little perks like free games. Right now, you can get Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Game of the Year Edition. You get free stuff for games like Madden 22 and Fall Guys, and you always get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month, and I'd greatly appreciate it if you subscribed right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. And remember, it doesn't even have to be your Amazon account. It can be anybody's Amazon account linked with Amazon Prime, whether it's your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your auntie, your uncle, your grandma, your grandpa, your dog walker, your pediatrician for the kids, your dietary nutritionist, I don't know. Whoever it is, say, hey, you got Amazon Prime? You do? Well, this ain't going to cost you anything, but you link it with my Twitch account, then I can subscribe to a cool creator like Pro Wrestling Unlimited. But with that, on the flip side, if you are watching on YouTube, you can help us out over there as well with a super chat or a super sticker donation. Remember, all super chats do get read live on the air. I do want to thank, it was in the other chat. I don't see it anymore. Someone did subscribe as a channel member. And now I do not see that, but if you guys want to subscribe as a channel member, you can do so by hitting that join button down below to get early access to news, early access to podcast episodes, early access to non-news videos, and so much more. And right now, we got a non-news video up for channel members and patreon.com/PW Unlimited subscribers, as we did a retro review of the Rhodes Dynasty against the Shield from Battleground 2013. Cody Rhodes this past Monday, and on Monday Night Raw, they were in Buffalo, and he said, Buffalo, a big city for me and you in our history, isn't it, Seth? Well, that history is when Dustin and Cody, Gold Dust and Cody, were fired from WWE, and they had to not only fight to get their jobs back, but also fight to keep their father's job, and that was in Buffalo. And we did a retro review of that earlier this week, and we will have another retro review, which is technically the follow-up to that match next week, as we will look at the match where the Rhodes Dynasty actually defeats the Shield on Raw for the Tag Team Championships. With that, also, like I said, if you want to support us, but more directly, head over to patreon.com/PW Unlimited. And you get all those same perks. But what's better about Patreon is A, it more directly supports us, and B, everything's kept in one concise place. It's not like here where it's like, oh, you got to scroll through our community tab to see what the channel member stuff is. No. All you got to do is just go to Patreon, and it's all right there. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Whether you're buying a game or getting V-Bucks in Fortnite, you can support us because at checkout, it's going to say, do you have a creator code? And you do. It's PW Unlimited. Whether you're buying a brand new or an old game, getting V-Bucks for Fortnite, or even claiming the free game, put in this code to support us right here. Jordan says, are you streaming twitch.tv/SMU Buddy tonight? I'm not going to be home. I know I'm going to be out till at least 2 o'clock a.m. So, no. Not going to happen, bud. Not going to happen. But with that, as far as the stories we do have to talk about, our first story has to do with one AEW wrestler, unfortunately, who, is hurt again. According to a new report from Fightful, they do report that Darius Martin, once again, injured and out of action. Fightful reports the Top Flight's Darius Martin is once again injured and reportedly sustained a leg injury and is now sidelined. The report goes on to state that those that they have spoken with expect Martin to actually miss another lengthy period of time. Martin was scheduled for the Warrior Wrestling show this weekend, but has been replaced. Now, a little context here. Martin was out for a year with an ACL injury over the last year. He came back in, and I don't have this written down specifically. Cage match. Go to his cage match. They'll tell me exactly when he came back. Darius Martin returned to AEW on February 2nd. So he was injured on his last match. The last match he worked was February 21st, 2021, and he returned on February 2nd, 2022. He only worked 11 matches and then was injured again. It's unclear exactly when he suffered the injury, but the last match that he did wrestle was a big old tag team match on April 15th, where he teamed with the Hardys and Frankie Kazarian, along with his brother, to take on the team of Angelico, Max Caster, The Blade, and Private Party. Now, speculation of Darius Martin possibly being injured actually happened earlier this week when his brother Dante Martin was booked for multiple tag team matches, but without his brother. Why would Dante be put in tag matches if Darius wasn't injured? He worked one against the BCC this week, and then next week he's booked for one against the Undisputed Elite. And I speculated, and I'm like, hey, what the heck's going on? Why is Dante working these tag matches, but where's Darius? Is Darius injured again? And now we did learn this morning, Darius Martin is once again injured. And, quote, as far as this report from Fightful states, those that we have spoken with expect Martin to miss another lengthy period of time. So that does stink. He just returned back in February after being gone for a year, a full year. And now he's going to have to miss more time. We don't know exactly what the injury is, other than it is supposedly a leg injury. And if we do hear anything further, well, we'll let you guys know. This sucks. This really sucks. And I hope he doesn't end up getting labeled as injury prone. I just hope. That's always the consensus is you hope when someone suffers an injury, out for a while, comes back and injured again that quickly within 2 months, that they're not sought as injury prone, and then people shy away from using them. But as we move forward, talk about another young wrestler. We're going to talk about Raquel Gonzalez. Actually, now Raquel Rodriguez, as we have a little info on what she felt like. This is a short story, but what she felt like as far as her name change does go. So as we saw a couple weeks back, Raquel Gonzalez, the former Raquel Gonzalez, was brought up to the main roster on SmackDown and given the name Raquel Rodriguez. Now, Rodriguez she actually spoke with Believe in Pro Wrestling, and they asked her about the name change, where she stated, quote, they just basically said, hey, you're getting a name change, and this is it. I was like, cool, that's fine. I really had no big arguments with it at all. It was just a simple little switch. It's funny. I was just joking with Rhea Ripley last Friday because she was actually at SmackDown and her initials are RR, Rhea Ripley. And we've always joked about being a tag team. And we had our feud NXT. Well, now my initials are RR, Raquel Rodriguez. So it kind of just feels like it was meant to be. So I'm okay with it. We're starting to think of new tag team names. Now, as of right now, the two can't actually be a tag team because Ripley is on Raw and Rodriguez is on SmackDown. But I mean, there's a draft coming in October, September time-ish. And they could always put them together on one brand and this and that. But it seems like she's cool with it. She's still Raquel, so that's good. I think here's the thing. I think it's almost sometimes, it depends on the person. Because with Raquel Rodriguez or Raquel Gonzalez, more people just called her Raquel than Gonzalez or Raquel Gonzalez. More people just referred to her as Raquel. It's not like some people where it's like John Cena, but everyone calls him Cena. Everyone calls him Cena. Or who's someone else that got a name change recently? Angel Garza, for instance. Everyone called him Garza. Now he's just Angel. For some people, it's better to either keep one specific name or change one of the specific names because of what you're usually referenced as anyways. And to me, I always see more people calling her Raquel. So her getting the name changed to Raquel Rodriguez isn't, like she said, she's cool with it. She's fine with it because most people, now if they would have changed the name Raquel, that could have been not as cool with it because you know what I mean. More people called her, like if it was like Victoria Gonzalez, I know that's her real name, but if they would have changed something like that, and she would be like, oh, now I got to go by Victoria Gonzalez. No one knows me as Victoria. No one, like most people didn't call me Gonzalez, but most people called her Raquel instead of just Raquel Gonzalez or Gonzalez. So I feel like this one's not that big of a change. Josh Vasquez in the chat says Austin Theory is now just Theory. Right, but that's not a bad one because, I mean, most of the time, most people just reference to him as Theory anyways. They were just like, oh, yeah, Theory attacked Finn Balor again. I mean, a lot of people would say Austin Theory attacked Finn Balor again, but it's not like Austin attacked Finn Balor again. Austin this, Austin that. No. So that one, again, keeping the last name instead of the first name, that one works better. Unlike with Angel Garza, probably should have kept just the last name instead of the first name, but whatever. We don't know what kind of stuff they're dealing with and we know who's making these decisions, but yeah, we can discuss and chat and talk about this till the cows come home, but it's ultimately Vince's idea. As we move forward, I did want to talk about just the latest on what's going on with Kushida. Kushida, as we know, is no longer with the WWE, and it's a little contradicting on what's going on and how he actually departed, as now it does feel like he may have been released, or there may be some conditions to him getting out of his contract. So let's start from the beginning. On Monday, it was reported that Kushida was leaving WWE. Since then, we have heard a number of different things, including that he'll be back with New Japan as early as June. Also, some have said that no, this is a release, or this is them letting him out of his contract with conditions. Not that he just actually left, as some actually told Fightful this could have been a budget cut thing. Now, when it comes to budget cuts, that could be two different things. Either budget cuts, you're released, or budget cuts, your contract is up, we're not going to re-sign you. Now, in a report from Tokyo Sport, they cited that a WWE official stated to them that Kushida was either released or his contract was canceled by the company. Now, that would make it seem as if it was not his choice to leave the company, or that it was a mutual thing to leave the company if the contract was quote-unquote canceled. This would also play up to, like we said, the Fightful stuff where they said budget cuts. Because another thing, Meltzer said he's not expected back in New Japan till June. So that means there's some sort of a non-compete linked to him leaving WWE, whether, again, that was that he was released or a condition on getting said, contract canceled, said release, whatever. Now, according to Voices of Wrestling, they state that it is well known within New Japan that Kushida would be leaving, and he has already been in contact with multiple New Japan wrestlers. It was also reported that he has already made pitches as far as what he would like to do upon returning to the company. One of those pitches would actually see Kushida fully repackaged into a man in a heel unit. Now this, what I'm going to tell you, sounds a lot like Diamond Mine. He would be part of a heel unit, showcasing an MMA style and working more like a heavyweight than he's ever done before. Again, sounds a little like Diamond Mine. Now, Kushida has been a junior heavyweight for most of the time he spent in New Japan Pro Wrestling and is considered one of the most decorated junior heavyweights in all of pro wrestling over the last decade or so, except for, well, the time he was in WWE, even though when in WWE, he was a former cruiserweight champion. The Voices of Wrestling also noted that Kushida, quote, frequently expressed his displeasure with the way he had been used, end quote, since the changeover from NXT 2.0. So with that, we will continue to follow this story, but it's interesting how so many different things are coming out about this Kushida story and him leaving WWE, which more and more lead us to believe that either A, he was released by the company, or B, maybe asked for a release and got it with some contingencies, hence why he can't return to New Japan till June. Also, as far as him returning to New Japan in June, we don't know when in June, but June 12th is Dominion. So maybe he can be back in time for Dominion, but we don't know 100%. Moving forward, this week was 420. We got some 420 related news pertaining to WWE and the use of marijuana. Now, WWE in the past has been pretty stingy, maybe, I guess is the right word, on their stance with marijuana. We know that Bret Hart back in the 90s was very vocal that WWE should not do things as far as people getting in trouble for smoking weed. As he said once before in an interview, hey, it's a better alternative than what some of these guys are using to cope with being on the road so much. But now, in the year of 2022, well, it seems like weed may not be that big of a deal to WWE, according to a new report from Fightful. According to Fightful, they do report that Talent has stated that they have not seen suspensions for marijuana in years. Now, WWE has not suspended anybody for marijuana in a long time, but they used to fine people for marijuana. Now, another Talent told Fightful that yes, you're tested for everything, but they haven't seen these marijuana fines in a very long time. Seems like nobody is being fined for it anymore. It was also rumored over the last year or so that WWE had quietly removed it from their wellness policy as far as a banned substance, I guess you can call it. The report also goes on to state that Randy Orton over the last couple of years has been, I guess you could say, an integral figure, an influence in this change on the main roster. It was also noted that while in NXT, Riddle, along with Kona Reeves, were also outspoken about this as well. Now, we see WWE implementing it in character, hence Riddle on the main roster, as one higher up in the company actually noted to Fightful, quote, I haven't even heard anyone as much as gossip over one of the boys or girls smoking weed in years, much less a fine being handed down for it. A lot of the perception has changed. And a lot of what Bret was talking about way back when ended up ringing true. I don't expect us to come out with weed-themed cannabis license anytime soon, but the policy has been relaxed, and we've used a lot of culture in our storylines, a lot of that culture in our storylines. So with that, it looks like WWE, again, has relaxed their stance on marijuana and the usage of weed, which is very cool, because it's like, yeah, I'm not a smoker of weed. I'm not a connoisseur of the ganja, or whatever you want to call it. But, I mean, in all actuality, we've seen the, what's the word I'm looking for, argument of weed is no worse for you as far as how it affects you than smoke or than drinking beer and heavy liquor and alcohol. So why ban somebody for smoking weed when you're not going to ban somebody for getting drunk, going out to, a bar and getting drunk? Now, marijuana may have more lasting effects on you down the road than drinking beer, but that's not going to affect you as far as being in the ring. I mean, drinking beer and getting drunk is going to affect you way worse than smoking one doob, I guess you can call it, well before a match. So, and I doubt anybody's smoking weed. What's the word? Well, and I doubt anybody's smoking weed backstage either. It may be that, someone smoked weed later that night in their rental car on their way to the next city, or on their way to the hotel, or on their way home, or at home. So, to be honest, the way that weed would affect you for a match is the same way, or not same, but similar to how weed would affect you for drinking for a match. So it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Why punish people for smoking weed if you're not going to punish them for getting drunk? Like, you're not high 6, 7, 8 hours later from one drink or one smoke, just like you're not drunk 6, 7, 8 hours later from one drink. There we go. You know what I mean? So that's always been the argument of why fine or suspend for weed when it's no different than going out and getting drunk. No one's doing it right before a match. No one's drinking or smoking right before a match. So what does it matter? What does it really matter? But as we do move forward, I do want to let you guys know this podcast is brought to you by FOCO. FOCO is a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more. With major sports and entertainment licenses at their disposal, along with a powerful infrastructure and a dedicated team, and a brand of a variety of products, FOCO is reaching new heights every day. Whether you're a WWE, NFL, NBA, or even Nickelodeon fan, FOCO has something that will fit your fandom. Head over to FOCO.com. Let them know you heard from them right here at PWU Unlimited and see what they have to offer for you. Again, they offer many different things. They got licensed apparel from the WWE, from the NFL, from the NBA, from Nickelodeon. Yeah, they got Rugrats and Real Monster stuff. They got Cat Dog as well. They got apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and so much more. So again, head over there and check out FOCO and let them know PW Unlimited sent you. So with that, as we move forward, talk about FTR and their big old match coming up next week on AEW Dynamite. As if you guys missed the news, and I'm going to pull this image up right here. If you guys missed it, Dax and Cash are fighting each other next week. That's not a joke. That's not a lie. That's not oh, what? Huh? No, that's a real ass thing. Dax and Cash will be fighting each other next week in the Owen Hart Cup Tournament qualifier. Yeah, that's a real thing. It was their idea. While speaking with the Wrestling Perspective podcast, they did state that they came up with the idea and pitched it to Tony Khan. They stated, quote, "That was our idea. Totally. We had to fight for it. But that was completely our idea." They stated that other than a tryout match for WWE, this will be the first time that they've actually squared off against one another. They stated that the only other time that they actually had a match together was when they were brought in as extras at WWE and given a look and told, you and you get in the ring, have a match. We're going to go 5 to 20 minutes, call it in the ring, go. And they were always, brought up as guys taught to call it in the ring, so they were fine with that. Match hits 5 minutes, they stated, and the referee, Scott Armstrong, goes, they love it. We're keeping going. Go, 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 go. They said once they hit about the 15-minute mark, Scott Armstrong then told them again, they're loving it, but we're going to go to the finish, go. And yeah, they said after that night, that's when they became best friends. They knew of each other from both being in North Carolina, but Cash said that the way he, before that time in WWE, looked at his career in wrestling was different than Dax. He was, how much can I work? How much can I get my name out there? And Dax was, I'm a wrestler. I'll take some bookings, but I'm working 2 jobs to keep my family going. So after that, they worked that match, barely knowing each other. Then the next day, they traveled to the next city together. They went to the gym and trained together. Bada bing, bada boom. Match made in heaven. They're best friends. FTR, the Revival, was born. All because WWE said, you and you get in the ring. Let's see you guys work together. And they killed it. That's the only other time they've worked together, they stated, and it got them their WWE job, and it found them their best friendom. So that's very awesome to see. And next week, they'll face off in the ring, and it was all their idea, something that they had to pitch to Tony Khan. They said that they've wanted to have a match like this for a very long time, but never wanted it just, quote, to happen. There needed to be an actual reason, and getting one of them in this tournament, well, that's an actual reason that makes sense for why they would have to fight one another. I'm super excited for this match. I can't fathom how good this match is going to be. This is going to be amazing. And now we got to wait Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, with 5 more days before this match can happen. But speaking of FTR, our big news story of the day has to do with one, Bret Hart, and why he's managing FTR on the indies and not in AEW. But for a little while now, FTR has been making teases that WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart could become their manager. FTR fans, thought that he could, Hart that is, come to AEW and manage them, but it looks like he's only going to do that for big time wrestling coming up here soon. Now, according to Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Meltzer reported that it is believed that Bret Hart has signed a deal with WWE. The report says that Hart is believed to have quietly signed a, quote, lucrative deal with the company. This would be why Hart would be able to manage FTR on the indies, but not in AEW. If Hart has signed a deal with WWE, well, they would ban and not allow him from showing up in AEW, hence why he can only manage FTR on the Big Time Wrestling show. Now, that would be a loophole because from what Meltzer wrote here, he's allowed to do indie signings and appearances and stuff, and because he can appear at indie shows, he can appear with FTR at this indie show. Again, loophole. Now, nothing is known as far as what lucrative means in this deal, but one would assume that if it's a lucrative deal, that probably, like if the deal is being called lucrative, that would probably mean that it is something that was such a big deal, Bret couldn't pass up on it. Bret couldn't go, nah, no. No, he had to take it. And we don't know what the deal actually is. A, what does lucrative mean? How much money is this thing for? And B, what does the deal entail? Like, what is he now going to have to do with WWE? Is he going to show up at WrestleMania Backlash? Is he going to be a Money in the Bank in Vegas? We don't know. Is he going to be a Raw next week? We don't know, other than it is believed by many, especially many in AEW, that he has signed a lucrative deal with WWE that would not allow him to appear in All Elite Wrestling. So again, this is another thing that we will continue to follow. And if we do hear anything else on this Bret Hart story of him possibly signing a deal with WWE, we will have it for you right here on Pro Wrestling Unlimited. But finally, the last little tidbit we have, because it's not really news, but it is news. It's what's going down tonight on SmackDown. As this morning, 2 more things were announced for the show. So we already knew coming out of last week's show that we got the Lumberjack match, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn. Sami can't run off because the Lumberjacks are thrown back in the ring. We also knew that Madcap Moss will be taking on Angel. I almost said Garza. Angel, after last week taking on Humberto. This morning it was announced that Riddle will be on SmackDown again tonight as he takes on his second Uso in a row, Jey Uso. Also, we do know that there will be a contract signing on tonight's SmackDown as Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey will officially make their I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash. Well, official. These are the only 4 things that we do still know, or so far know, for tonight's Friday Night SmackDown. With that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining me here on the Friday edition of the Wrestling Wrap-Up. Remember, there will not be a SmackDown review tonight because I'm not going to be home. I'm going to be out till at least 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Got rodeo stuff I want to attend. Well, not want and kind of gotta. Kind of now I'm expected to be there. So we'll be rocking, we'll be rolling, we'll be hanging out. I'll be entertaining crowds at karaoke tonight as well. So maybe I'll post some stuff on social media. We'll see how that goes. But with that, guys, thank you for joining me here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and Twitter.com/PW Unlimited. Have a good one. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.